it wouldn't be a movie podcast without a cinephile wannabe waxing lyrical about Akira Kurosawa. And number 31, it's Yojimbo. Welcome to Longplay Video. Oh, well, welcome into Longplay Video. Another quiet day in the shop. Perfect time, I think, to crack open. Number 70 on the list. Down all the way up. No, down, no, up to 70.
Top of the bobs.
Top of the pops. Yeah, so at number 70 we have Yojimbo. Kevin, do you know anything about a film called Yojimbo? It's quite a memorable title.
Yeah,
not something you're gonna even you are gonna struggle to forget it. So.
It feels like there should be a gap, and it should be Yo Jimbo, and then it would be like some kind of American comedy.
Adam
Like
Sandler.
Oh yes, it would definitely be that. Yeah, some like redneck Jimbo or something. Yeah, I don't know. Yojimbo as one word makes me think of maybe like an animation or an anime film. But yeah, I don't know anything about this film at all. So I'm interested to see.
Yeah, let me pass you over the DVD cover.
All right, let's have a look at this then. All right. Oh wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. So not what I thought at all. So I was thinking it was some kind of sort of bad anime film. It looks a lot more like quite an old martial arts film, maybe? Like Japanese martial arts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the front cover is just some guy who he looks mean. He's in like a gi, and he has like a samurai sword. There's clearly look, it's gone wrong at the beginning. There's a guy on the bottom with a gun. He's brought a samurai to a gunfight. I mean, what's going on here? That's not gonna work, is it?
We love a Sean Connery impression. Say you bring a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah.
And
then
line.
there's a woman holding another woman's head up by her hair, which looks a little bit aggressive. And then just some mountains. So yeah, I'm intrigued. Is it in black and white as well?
It is, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's funny that
Is it super
cover,
old?
It is, yeah, 1961. So
Yeah,
it's an old film. And then obviously because of that there's a lot of different videos that it could be. Video covers that it could be.
Covers. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the one that we have in the shop though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not the classic. I couldn't find an original, so I just went for this one. It is funny that they have the photo on the front in color, and then it's a black and white movie. You're really setting yourself up for disappointment very early on.
That's funny as well. You're right. Yeah. So I wonder how that would have worked. Do you think it's the actual color? Because how would they, or they added in color and gone, well, I would presume that his gi would be green, so we'll just go with green.
Like, well, it's just 1961, so I'm fairly sure.
So it was filmed in color.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's not like they wouldn't have known what the colors were. Yeah, so I think it was filmed in color and then
removed
black and white. Yeah.
All right, let's look at this.
It's just the same as the artist. That wasn't like they didn't. The French film. They still don't have color. They're still doing everything in black and white.
Like, mate, who knows what's going on in France or in 1961? Like, no one knows what's happening. But there looks to be quite a lot of special features on the back of this DVD as well, which is, look at that. For the 60s, they went, let's do it. 45-minute documentary. Wow. You're getting your money's worth with this DVD if you rent it out.
Yeah. You know, it is a classic.
Yeah, well, apparently so. So yeah, it says a nameless ronin or samurai with no master enters a small village in feudal Japan where two rival businessmen are struggling for control of the local gambling trade. Classic 60s. Taking the name, I'm never going to be able to read that. The ronin convinces both silk merchant and sake merchant to hire him as a personal bodyguard, then artfully sets in motion a full-scale gang war between the two ambitious and unscrupulous men. Well, this sounds like Roadhouse for Japan. Brilliant. I mean, yeah,
That was the quote that I think they just didn't put on this cover.
Roadhouse for Japan. If Patrick Swayze makes a cameo, this is going straight to the top of my list. So, when did you first see this then? Yeah, why was it on the list? Well, when did you first see it, first of all?
Yeah, so this was one of my 50 films in 2022.
Right, okay.
So only a little while ago. So the director is Akira Kurosawa, who's a very famous Japanese director, very popular. Funnily enough, not more, but in the West as a Japanese director. So some of his other films, Rashomon, Hidden Fortress, Seven Samurai, High and Low, Redbeard, Ran. Do any of those ring a bell?
Seven Samurai, I think I've seen. And then, one of the other ones I think I've seen that you said as well. So I recognize some of them, yeah.
Yeah, so like Rashomon it's the same story told from lots of different perspectives, which obviously is it was kind of one of the first times that happened and has been used a lot. Hidden Fortress, the narrative structure is basically what George Lucas used for Star Wars. Ran is actually King Lear, but in feudal Japan.
Yeah.
So Toshiro Mifune, who's the main actor. So him and Kurosawa did 21 films together. So it's also sort of one of the most prolific sort of partnerships ever. They're in a lot of films and there's a lot of Kurosawa films that I really like. I would say every year in my 50 films, there is a Kurosawa film that I kind of watch. And I was listening to something about him the other day, and it's literally every time you watch one, you're kind of like, oh yeah, this is almost my favorite one of all of his films.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was going through his films, and I kind of included it on the list of in 2022 because I had heard of this film a lot, but I'd never watched it. So I wanted to watch it.
Yeah, nice. And so then obviously, so now it's on the list. What was it that brought this to into the top? What is this, top 60, top 70? What we at?
We're at number 70.
70. So it's in 70, yeah. So it's a big one because I know you like the big ones at the milestones. So why is it? Yeah, why is it? What made it so? Because that's only 2 years ago, and I know you don't like bringing in a recent bias. So why did it get on the list?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. I really like Kurosawa movies. Actually, I watched High and Low this year for my 50 films, and it's a really good film. It's like a police procedural, split into 3 acts, but is really, really good. I was conscious. I don't actually sort of know that much about Kurosawa. We're not going to go down into kind of talking to him and getting into cinema history and stuff. As I say last week, I want to be between Rob Brydon and Jenny. I think Jenny would be able to do a 20-minute monologue now about Kurosawa and the influence that he's had on modern cinema. But I do sort of think it's funny that the more that I watch older films, the more I realize that a lot of modern films, and maybe a lot of modern films that are made by a director that rhymes with Barantino, just actually rip off stuff from old films that they've seen that maybe not that many other people have seen. And I think that's kind of this is kind of like that. So it is basically what 90% of Westerns kind of became. The main character is sort of the man with no name who sort of turns up and is fighting the side of truth and justice almost, and kind of tough and just by himself and stuff. So it is an archetype that then just there's loads of films like this, which I do always enjoy. Who doesn't enjoy a stranger turning up in a small isolated town,
Exactly.
and then doing their thing, and then and maybe leaving, maybe not leaving. Won't no spoilers here. Um,
And
so yeah,
so,
because of that,
yeah.
I really liked it.
And so, is it I mean, obviously, it's deliberately in black and white, but is there a rationale that you get throughout the film of why it's black and white, or is it just they've just gone for it in black and white?
Yeah, I think it's a purely stylistic choice.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the thing. Like Kurosawa films are structurally and visually they're always really really good.
Mm.
And he's kind of manages to do things. I think especially for me, almost the structure of his films. So visually they are very good again. Although funnily enough, Ran is kind of his big sort of in color
Mm.
film, and it is an epic. And actually, it didn't kind of connect with me as much, maybe
Mm.
because it was King Lear, and yeah, I kind of
Yeah.
found the story a bit boring because of that. But structurally, all of his films are really good. Like the way that they kind of build up, and especially like Redbeard as an example is over 3 hours,
Yeah.
um, but
Jeez.
it is still very watchable and still really good because it kind of builds on top of one another. And it's the same with this. Almost you watch this and you're kind of like, this I've seen this structure a million times, but
Yeah.
this is where that structure comes from.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's why I kind of wanted to have a bit of a nod to it. There aren't any westerns on the list.
Yeah. I was going to ask you
Funnily
that.
enough.
So would you
Yeah,
say this
yeah.
is a lot? Because I always think about like Clint Eastwood films, and when you say Western, that's kind of what I think. I know obviously the John Wayne as well, but I always remember Clint Eastwood films being on
Yeah.
when I was younger. So you'd say
spaghetti
this would,
westerns spaghetti westerns are probably like our
yeah,
reference point because those did
yeah,
used to be on the TV when we were growing up, right?
yeah,
It wasn't like almost the more classics like The Searchers and stuff. I would say in the UK it
yeah,
was more
yeah.
the spaghetti westerns that were kind of were popular, which yeah,
And
it's
so you
interesting.
think, yeah, that you'd get, so then there'll be a lot of references to that. So you think I'll see lots of references to those sort of like the good, the bad, and the ugly, those sort of films
Yeah,
when I'm going
exactly.
through
Yeah.
this. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
The man with no name sort of
Yeah,
character. That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
this guy, because actually, obviously, the name that he uses basically means like I can't remember some sort of plant field, and it's essentially just what he's looking at. He's sort of staring out the door,
Okay.
and someone's like, "What's your name?" And he's like, random dogs walking
Yeah,
past, and he's like,
yeah.
"What?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's my
Brilliant.
name." So yeah, it's that archetype of yeah,
Yeah,
stranger turns up and just does sort of if you're bad, then you're in trouble,
yeah,
and if you're good, then you've got a savior, which is yeah, just
yeah.
a classic
It's just
story.
yeah. You know what? I haven't seen any of these sort of type films for a long, long time. Like that
Mm,
sort of, like you said, those sort of spaghetti, even like a spaghetti western, or any of that. Like those. I just haven't seen any of them for ages. So this is gonna be
yeah,
interesting to watch. Actually, it might be quite nostalgic.
yeah. Did you sort of enjoy samurai films and martial arts films back in the
Yeah,
day, or even sort of not?
yeah. Oh no, yeah, I loved them. No, I mean, imagine like as a kid when you're seeing people get cut up by samurais, you're like, this is amazing. And then you obviously go and get by a samurai, well, not an actual samurai, a plastic sword, and yeah, just pretend to kill people in the in the garden. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I used to love
Sometimes as a
those.
turtle, sometimes not as a turtle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, oh, the classics. I know. Who was your favorite? Just to divert quick.
Donatello.
Okay. That tells me a lot
Always a
about you.
Donatello. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I used it as an interview question at work. To be honest with you.
Oh, dear. You should ask them to see what they think you are. So which tail do you think I would be? They'd all be like, obviously Donatello.
Anyone under 40 isn't going to understand the reference. Although,
Um,
yeah, to be fair, they brought out a film, yeah, a couple of years ago
yeah.
as well, didn't
Yeah, they still on, I think. I'm sure there's a new cartoon of it. Everything gets rehashed. No, there's no new ideas. As you've just
they? Yeah,
illustrated with this film, Tarantino is obviously, taken homage from some of these things and put it to his films. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
they this was lifted, yeah, kind of entirely into a western.
Yeah.
Which one? I think it was a spaghetti western.
Okay, like
But I
a
think,
so
yeah,
like a
Fistful of
Western.
Dollars.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, so Fistful of Dollars is. I think there was sort of some legal issues with Fistful of Dollars because it
yeah.
kind of
Okay.
took quite liberally from this.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Interesting. I might watch
um,
both. Do a little double header.
yeah,
See which
yeah.
one's better.
See which one you prefer.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're specifically looking forward to, or anything that you're worried about? I guess you've only seen it a couple of years ago, so it's probably yeah pretty fresh in the mind still, pretty okay.
Yeah, I think the action again because I know where it's going. Kind of I
Yeah.
don't need to maybe concentrate on the plot as much as I did the first time because you kind of I remember it.
Yeah.
So looking forward to sort of seeing the action a bit more. There's a lot of great one-liners in the sort of true tradition of
Yeah.
violent films.
Yeah.
To just have a bit of violence
Brilliant.
and then a one-liner, which is great. And just again, the way that it all unfolds, I think is really good, and I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's sort of a funny one with martial arts films and kind of samurai and like Japanese culture. I think with British culture, there's like an interesting overlay between the two,
Yeah.
uh, because yeah, I think it is almost sort of emotion typically kind of restrained, but
Yeah.
stuff going on under the surface. And so I think that there's a real affinity between Japanese and British culture in so from a traditional viewpoint. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of comparisons, which
Yeah.
is also so. I mean, another Kurosawa film is Ikaru, that
Mhm.
just got remade as
Oh
a British
yeah.
film, as well. So we won't talk too much about that because
Oh yeah.
maybe that's coming up at some
Oh
stage.
wow.
So
Spoilers everywhere. What's going on? It's part one. No spoilers in part one.
so it's almost like it's a whole new list. We've got over some bumps recently, and
Uh, I know. I'm looking forward to this one. There's been a few that have been challenging to get through. So this feels more like a film that I'm going to enjoy. So I'm hoping for the best. How long is it?
it's an hour 50.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hopefully he's good.
I mean, under 2 hours. Surely you only have to worry. You're just such a traditionalist, aren't you? Hour 30. You're an hour
Well,
30 man.
no, I don't want a 2 hour film. I've just been traumatized by some of the previous ones that I've had to watch. And I know that an hour and a half is safe, whereas an hour and 50 and it's bad could feel like a long time. But I'm confident. I think this one will be good. I'm especially interested to see how he gets out of the gunfight with his samurai. That's going to be one of my favorite bits.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
I'm
mean,
looking forward to that.
the gun, the gun does feature very much as a sort of symbol of, new, uh,
Okay.
kind of newness and stuff. But yeah, 1961. What do you think
Mm.
the top of the box office for 1961 was? Yeah.
Oh, so I presume you're saying like Western world, like the US.
Yeah.
Oh, 61. Was it a Bond film?
No,
Um,
they didn't do very well up until
oh,
Thunderball,
really?
which was
That was
we talked about
the,
this in the previous pod. I don't know if
I
you
mean,
remember.
yeah, they're kept in on Spotify. I don't need to remember the content. I mean, I can always go back and listen to them again.
Maybe I
Um,
edited that one so you only listened to it once.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of films in the 60s. Was it another? Would there have been Clint Eastwood films then, westerns?
No,
Or
well, no,
no?
that was
Like
later.
a
101 Dalmatians.
oh wow, wow, great film. Just by the way, but
Is it?
yeah,
Is it?
yeah, great villain, great Disney films, great kids film. Bit of
I mean, yeah,
darkness, bit of everything, you know. Is
yeah.
it? I'm just trying to think. I guess you don't have necessarily the same. Well, we're not interviewing. We're not talking about Disney today. That's too big a topic. That will be further up your list, or probably on my list, I'd imagine. Well,
That'll
okay.
be a 10-1 film in season 2 on your list.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of Disney on there. I can't help it. They, they indoctrinated me when I was younger, and I'm in. I'm stuck in. Can't get out of it. All right. Well, no, I think this is gonna be good. I'm looking forward to this. I'm gonna be interested. I presume it's subtitled, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I would go for
Cool.
subtitles
Rather than dubbing. Yeah.
rather than dubbing. I don't know if there is dubbing because I'm not a
Oh,
dubbing
imagine
fan.
if it's dubbed by Patrick Swayze. I'll test it just to find out, just in case.
I feel like your
Roadhouse.
expectations are too high.
Yeah. Oh, dear. No, I think it'll be
They
good.
redubbed it in the 1980s
Yeah.
with Patrick Swayze
Patrick.
coming in
Oh,
and doing
God. That would be good. That would be something that AI can probably do. It could probably do now,
it. Yeah,
or definitely be able to do in the future. Imagine if it got redubbed with Patrick Swayze. God, how good would that be?
yeah.
Yeah.
You could read up all films with AI. I guess it wouldn't make
Yeah.
too much difference.
Yeah. Can we change the new Roadhouse and and just replace all the characters with the old characters? No. Well, no, I think this could be good. I'm looking forward to this. Now I'm 50, it'll be good. Yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah. I think one for the popcorn. You can go and
yeah.
put it on, yeah, we can settle in and
Yeah.
let's have a watch.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Kev's filling up the tub as we speak. Will he like this film? Actually, I think he should do. Although I feel like I've been saying that a lot recently. No, this is a classic samurai movie, a bit more actiony than some of the ones we've had before. I would say it is also a little bit of a comedy, so maybe the tone will be a little bit tricky to put his finger on. But no, I think you'll like it. It's a good film, and yeah, we'll have to wait and see after the jump down. Getting less and less confident of these as we go.
A bit peculiar. It was, yeah.
A bit,
It wasn't quite
very,
what I
very,
expected.
very Japanese in the way that you said. They're not British at all. A bit peculiar.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, in my mind, I guess, because I remember what. Maybe my mind's just
Gone.
because you just watch these things when you're a kid, so maybe you just think, my mind has gone. I remember watching like samurai movies, and it's just craziness going on all the time. But maybe I was just so young that I didn't realize how bad it is. Because I watched A Fistful of Dollars as well afterwards, and oh my God, you're right. Jesus, it's the exact same movie. That I mean, and this was 61, right?
Yojimbo, yeah.
Fistful of Dollars was 64, I think,
Yeah.
and they didn't change it at all. I mean, if you left it 20 years and didn't change it, I'd be like, okay, yeah, maybe you're giving it to a different clientele, but you've just literally ripped off exactly the same movie. Anyways, we're not going to discuss that now. But my point was, both those movies are set in the 60s, and they're just I just shows you how lucky we are to have films now. They're so much more realistic. It's so much better. But yeah, it's just a bit strange.
Yeah, I mean, tonally, it is a comedy, right? And I think that's sort of the thing that yeah, maybe I hadn't mentioned because I wanted to see how you pick it up. But I mean, I think it's fairly sort of clear that it's a comedy with the music over the top of the dog carrying the severed hand, and it's like do 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 do.
Yeah. There was a lot of I put down. There was plenty of woodblock and glockenspiel in the music.
Yeah.
So like 2 words I haven't used for a long time.
It's just going to mark this pod for AI. Glockenspiels come up for the rest. But no, it is supposed to be a comedy, and I think it's supposed to be quite funny. Obviously with the one-liners and stuff, but also just in tone. Up until the random woman comes in who hasn't been mentioned at all.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, they really use the music in order to to like explain
to
this,
introduce that.
yeah, that
Yeah.
this is bad, and everyone's like,
Yeah.
and you're like, what?
Yeah, what's
Wait,
going
what?
on?
You haven't introduced it, and then we have to get back into the exposition of that and who she is and why she's important, which
Yeah.
does slow the movie down. But then that's
Yeah.
part of the type of story it is, right? Because then that's, oh well, he is a good guy and he does actually have morals, and he's not just
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, a bad guy doing things because he just feels it's amusing. So,
Yeah. It was weird, isn't it? It's almost like, because what I was originally picturing from the DVD cover was that it was going to be like one of those old school sort of samurai films, you know, like ninjas coming out everywhere, and it's going to be like fights all over the shop. But actually, there is hardly any fighting in
yeah.
the film at all, and it's all just the strategy. And it's like the Tom and Jerry of him just like whispering in their ears, like, "Oh, did you hear what they said? Oh, yeah, they said that about you." And you're like, "No." So it was a bit funny, yeah. Like it was a lot more about obviously his character and him trying to play each of them off against each other,
Yeah.
rather than even when they try and do the original fight scene where they're both of the clans are basically coming out. And they just keep running away as well. And so
Yeah.
no one really wants to fight. It's like, oh, we just sort of pretend. No one really wants to die. Let's just continue as it is.
Well, I mean, completely whipped off, I think, from Bridget Jones when they have
Oh, yeah.
they have the Colin Firth and
Do they have a fight?
yeah, well,
Hugh Grant.
and Hugh Grant. Yeah, they kind of have a fight, but they
Yeah.
kind of don't want to have a fight, so they like kick out and
Yeah.
stuff. And it's very, I mean, it's the same, I think, in the schoolyard back in the day. You
Yeah.
kind of like wanted to show that you were tough, but you didn't really want to get in a fight, did you? So
Yeah. No one wants to get punched in the face.
yeah, they're like running forwards, and then they realize no one's running with them, and they're like, oh, okay, well, I'll just back off a bit now, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite funny.
It is crazy, isn't it? I remember the first time I got hit in the face when I was at school, and it was like really shocking. You're like, whoa, someone's actually followed through on this. And then you're like, right, well, it's game on then. Let's go. Yeah.
You pack up your football and leave.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was, we're playing basketball. But yeah, that's a story for another pod.
I mean, I've seen you play basketball. I can well imagine.
You could understand, yeah. Well, exactly. I was just dropping 3-pointers everywhere, so yeah, they could.
Why have you shot from there?
Yeah. But yeah, it was just very different to what I expected. But the main character is just hilarious. He's just the way his movement.
Yeah.
And I do wonder, having watched the Fistful of Dollars, whether Clint Eastwood sort of portrayed himself on that as well. It feels very similar. It's very like moving with purpose, and then you don't really say much. There's a lot of like, you know, words a lot of things that he doesn't say with words that he shows with actions.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the crazy guy with the gun comes in. He looks like he's clearly on drugs. He looks proper crazy. I don't know what's happening with him.
Yeah.
And no one seemed to like using their gi either. That was the other thing I noticed. Everyone's like, I'm like, he's got sleeves, guys. He's got 2 sleeves, and they're really, really big sleeves. And like, yeah, but I can just put my hand inside the gi instead. It's really harder to do. So
it's interesting because the actor with the gun almost sort of becomes the new guy. So they've done a lot, like Kurosawa and Mifune have done a lot of films together, and then that guy comes in and almost kind of takes over, and then he's in a lot of films, a lot of Kurosawa films afterwards. So he's definitely got presence, hasn't he? Because he does look completely crazy.
Yeah.
So
he looked proper insane. I was like, and then he also had like these crazy mannerisms. Like I said, he always had the gun like inside these like his jacket pockets, pocket basically. And then he always was just like, every time he ran, he was holding up the bottom half of his gi. I mean, and they didn't stop, and he'd still be doing it. And I'm like, but you've stopped running now. Why are you still holding it up? Just showing off a bit of extra leg. It was just a bit strange.
It's just distracting everyone.
He was good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't look at the gun.
I mean, I don't want to. It's interesting what you say about him. So as the main character, and obviously don't want to go too far into my inner Jenny, as we'll call it from last week's.
Exactly.
From last week's. But you notice that whenever there's a shot of him, the camera is kind of at shoulder height looking up. So every kind of shot of him is from below his eye line and almost below his sort of shoulder line, so that it does make him seem more imposing and kind of bigger. And obviously the very first shot is him inside of the by the side of the mountain, so it sort of does portray him as like sort of bigger and immovable and like a mountain, and sort of that strength, which is just a very subtle but great way of portraying that. And everyone else is kind of shot from slightly above, making them look smaller, and that's the thing with films.
That's good. I didn't notice that.
Not to go too much into it, but like you think every shot of a film is from a point of view, and so literally having like, is it eye line? Is it not? I mean, going back even to Spielberg, Spielberg is very, very famous in E.T. and stuff for having the cameras always at the height of a child, because it's supposed to be like a child's point of view of the film. You think in E.T. when you sort of see the man with the keys and stuff, like the camera's at that height, and so that makes it seem like a child's point of view. So like that's just sort of subtle ways like that of kind of making him seem, I don't know, more badass than everyone else.
Interesting. I didn't notice that.
I
mean, it was no, I didn't notice that at all. It's one of those things, I guess, because it was subtitles as well. I was probably trying to focus on everything else that was going on. But that's good. So is that something that you noticed this time, or have you noticed it on your previous watch?
No, I had noticed it before. Because I'm interested in sort of where the shots come from. And again with this one as well, and this is something that I noticed more this time, and having sort of listened to a couple of pods on it, is the layers of the shots as well. Like they're in the bar and they're looking through like the wall, like the slats. And then something else is happening outside, and then occasionally there's something happening outside, actually in another room that's behind slats that you can kind of see through. And that is quite unusual in films, to have almost sort of blockers and sort of things in the way, because you're usually very close to the action. But like in this film, especially, and I was listening to something, there's also a film called Playtime, which is a French film that sort of does it as well, using kind of glass a lot. And so you can kind of, there is a barrier between you and the action. So you like, the audience is actually watching someone else as an audience watching something else. And it sort of, it almost, I mean, this is why 3D would have worked back in the day, because like
what happened to 3D?
It makes the film, didn't it? Yeah, it makes the film like that's, you just don't need it, because as long as you set up the shots so that there's that depth, then it makes it feel a lot deeper, because there are like layers to each shot.
Layers. I did notice there was one point when I think he was upstairs in like the barn, and they were filming one of the scenes on the floor, and it pans back, and the camera's basically just pans back past his shoulder, and he's just there next to the camera. And I was a bit like, he's there. And so that was a bit different. He also, I was starting to think, this guy, I think this is where Brad Pitt got his first ideas from as well. Everyone's stolen from this film. He's the original Brad Pitt. He eats in pretty much every single scene. He was commissioned a certain amount of money and the most amount of food he could possibly have. He was all over it. It was crazy.
Gets the sake in and the food as well, and then that's it.
And then not paying for anything. And anytime he went anywhere to see either of the families, he was like, well, let me just go and have some of this food while I start talking to you. And then off he went. One of my favourite scenes was when the parents of one of the families are talking to their son, and they are basically gaslighting him to try and kill the samurai. And I'm just like, oh yeah, well, like, you could never do it. And he's like, what? Yeah, I could. He's like, what, could you?
I mean, you've only killed one person. Why are you, a wimp?
I was like, this is amazing. I can't believe they just gaslighting their own son to
Yeah.
go get killed.
Yeah, I mean, another film about parenting. I hadn't picked up on that as a trend, but definitely
There's a
some
common theme
tactics.
coming through. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait for Kindergarten Cop. That's going to be right up at the top of the list. Yeah. Yeah, that was mad, isn't it? But yeah, was there anything that you sort of felt that dated it? I mean, obviously it's kind of set at a point in time anyway, so I don't really feel like there was nothing from my side that felt like it was dated.
Yeah, not dated, but again, like so many films that kind of take
references,
the references and everything else. I mean, when they're sort of smashing everything up and they smash up the sake stores and stuff, there's a scene in Bugsy Malone that rips that off, which I'd never kind of thought of again. The bit when he's coming out of the floorboards, when he's sort of running away, that exact shot I think is in Star Wars when they're hiding from the stormtroopers and then they come up from the Millennium Falcon. And then as we were discussing, I've just watched the new Roadhouse, and basically that's a complete remake of this film. It's almost if you put,
we should have discussed this before we started the podcast. I forgot about that.
If you put in
while you've watched that one, when you've not seen the original, I don't know what what's going on.
It was a very long day, and it was fine. It was what it was, but it's.
I couldn't watch it all. How bad was Conor McGregor?
He's quite bizarre character. And like the and they call it a Western, and they sort of play on the fact, oh, you're a Western, you're coming in, no one knows who you are, even though everyone knows who he is. But like that's the thing, this archetype, and this. Yeah, which it's it's not the first. It didn't invent a guy walking into town and then solving the town's problem and walking out. But I think it is a very strong representation of it that just so many other films borrow from. And I think that's almost Kurosawa films are almost the films that I think film students and people who get into cinema, and obviously I'm not being snobby, I'll put myself in there, like all the boring people who talk too much about texture and shots. Kurosawa films are the first port of call, I think, for a lot of them. So it's not that the film's dated, it's just that there's so many other films that borrow divisive stuff from it.
It definitely seemed like a lot, didn't there? Like it was, honestly, it was, I didn't, like I said, I did not like it, but it was just not what I expected. It was so different to what I anticipated. So it was very, very different. And it was good to have watched it.
I mean, I would say, it kind of makes Colin Farrell in his one shirt and in Bruges look like he overpacked. Because he literally just has his clothes on his back and that's it. He's got nothing else.
He never changes, does he? Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Colin Farrell in Bruges. Yeah. What was the thing with I was going to ask you about this, the hairdos. Is that a deliberate thing that the samurais are supposed to basically have like skullets?
Yeah,
you have no hair at the top, and then you just have like a mullet or a ponytail.
Yeah, there was some. I think there's something about kind of the sort of where you're positioned in like the sort of class system that there was something for it. So actually, samurai themselves wouldn't have it because obviously samurais were essentially bodyguards.
They're like the best.
But like they weren't sort of the royal. They weren't almost like the sort of ruling class or anything like that. Like they were sort of the soldiers and the bodyguards and stuff like that. So it's something to do with the period. And at some stage, I think I did look into it, but then
that was a bit strange. I did wonder what was going on with that.
But I mean, I think that's interesting. Why it's in black and white as well, sort of to get that kind of feel of it being shot back in the day. Because obviously, like 60s. So it does almost. If you watched this without knowing when it was from, would you think it was from earlier?
No. Yeah, you would have done. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have thought it was from the 60s.
Yeah,
that was something that I really noticed is watching this and then watching A Fistful of Dollars. That obviously films have got a lot more realistic to what we expect things to actually happen, apart from obviously Fast and the Furious and Marvel Universe. But apart from that, and it was interesting watching this where everyone like overreacts like so much, like deaths are so like like you're like oh, and then you like don't do backflips and like as if like the bullet has sent you back 12,000 steps. And I was like, that's interesting. I wonder if it's because I was thinking, is it just cinema is still newish? Obviously, I know it's not new, but are they still taking a lot of guidance from plays? Because I was thinking, oh, in plays, obviously, like when someone dies, you don't just get hit and then you fall over because that's boring. They sort of wander around the stage and then they're dying and they say a few final words and then eventually there's the final breath and they're gone. So I wondered if that's how, like in the 60s, like, a lot of the movies were taking, elements from that, because like no one just dies in this movie. Everyone has got an extra scene or two after they're dead.
Yeah, I think it's part
I don't know.
I think it's part of the comedy. I think they do it knowingly.
Yeah, okay.
I think in this film they do it knowingly. I'm sure there's others that aren't. But I think by this stage, you do have obviously a lot of the kind of the spy thrillers of the 60s where someone just gets shot and then that's it. They're dead. I think in this one they just kind of there's almost a little, I think, sort of mockery of like old samurai movies with this. There's a kind of a knowing glint, I think, in his eye when he's sort of when they're hamming it up so much, which I think, like as they say, with the dog in the hand, like that's actually, like, I mean, what a great way to introduce like how messed up this town is. But then to put the sort of the bouncy music over the top of it, I think it kind of says, this is going to be a fun film, even though it might be quite dark, and almost like if the sound over the top of that is like very dramatic and very like strings and dun dun dun, then I think it sort of goes in a different direction. But I think there is a bit of he just goes and kills the three people just
straight out of the bat. I love that. Like, he's just thinking, what's going to be my open strategy? Oh, well, I'll take these out and then we'll go from there. We'll just see what happens.
And then he's like,
set my sword out.
I'm sorry that I killed those three people. And he's like, stuff happens. So
don't worry about it. This actually links quite nicely into my description to the aliens.
Okay.
So I had a samurai completely destroys a town. The people thank him, and then he leaves. I mean, it is because like the whole town gets destroyed. Every single like the silk shop, like everything, the sake shop, everything's gone. Like everything's dead, including the two like major families. But that's it. And then he leaves, and I'll be like, what have you done? There's nothing left. Well, now we have to leave as well.
I love the one that he's like, the town will be peaceful now. And you're like, there's 4 people left, but it's going to be peaceful because everyone's dead.
Yeah, just the guy who makes the coffins.
I love the flex at the end when he cuts the ropes off the guy though. That's like you're like just in case there's any you think I got lucky or I'm not really good. I'm just going to cut these ropes really quickly with my sword. You're like, okay, that's quite a good flex.
He's good. And then I'll ask you about your I've got to remember to ask you about something. But what was your what did you have for the aliens?
I mean, I said we see that a man with a sword is more dangerous than a man with a gun because it's more about attitude than actual weapons. Again, maybe gaslighting the aliens a little bit so that they like when they hit this, they're like, oh, okay, we were going to bring guns. Actually, we should find these sword things.
And they'd probably still win.
The aliens now are gonna. I mean, as long as they don't listen to this bit, as long as they press pause. Oh, damn it! I should have put the explanation about why I've said that on the Patreon. That the aliens aren't subscribing.
Exactly. You've got to pay extra to hear the good bits like that. Like the actual secrets to the taking over the world.
Damn it! I've given it away. The aliens. Just ignore that bit. Aliens. It's fine. It's swords are better than guns. That's all you need to know.
It's quite fun, isn't it? Because obviously they have the gun in there, and you're like, well, this is going to be a bit silly because clearly the gun's going to win. But I guess they set it up that it's deliberately not necessarily going to be quite like that. And obviously, it's only a 6 shooter, I guess, right? So you only get 6 bullets anyhow. But
What did
it's weird how there's just one person who has the gun as well.
But what did you feel? What did you feel at the end? Like when he gives him the gun? Like how did you read that?
Oh,
Because that's like a sort of I think there's a lot of different interpretations on what that bit is.
okay. Well, yeah, I mean, well, obviously it was obvious there was more bullets in it. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then,
but like so obvious that the samurai must have known that as well, right? Because he also
exactly. He knew.
Yeah.
And he was so confident that he's just like, yeah, go on, good luck. Yeah. See how you get. See how you get on. Yeah.
It gives
So
back
it's
a
not like-
loaded gun to someone who's just killed. So it's,
that's how confident he is. Yeah, that's how I read it, that he was super confident. Not that he miscalculated and thought, oh, actually, there's more than 2 bullets. Because he's seen the guy fire the gun before, so he knows there's more than 2 bullets in it.
Yeah.
And also, you could see it. I mean, it's unlikely that's the first gun he would have seen. So, it felt like it was just a flex. Like, he's like, yeah, all right, let's see how this goes then. See how you get on. It's like, oh, you're dead, are you? Oh, didn't want to get too well for you.
Yeah.
I did as well. So obviously when he gets caught and then he gets beaten up. Now, this is what I wanted to check with you. Is this the start of the montage, or is this where they just have no idea how to do a montage and it just goes on forever? And there's about an extra 20 minutes of the film of him actually recovering that we could have done in a montage.
Yeah,
I was like,
they want to drag it out a bit there, but I think it is really. He's sort of lying there. You're not really sure whether he's dead or not to begin with, and then he sort of turns over and his face is all messed up. I think that's quite a good bit. But then, then like they go on a little bit more and stuff. And obviously, the big lad. I do think it's funny when he sees him the first time and he's like looking around, and then he like looks at him and he's like, oh, okay, well, you're a big fella.
Yeah, this is a big guy. Yeah, watch out for that one.
I mean, again, like classic, like really tall person with a hammer, like that's in a lot of other films as well. You're like, yeah, okay, good.
Yeah. I guess, and they had like Jaws as well in James Bond. Yeah, and then Princess Bride. all the classics.
He's throwing up
the two that come to mind.
Andre the Giant vibes for sure.
Yeah. So, were there any questions that you felt like they asked or answered?
No, I think I just had how much fun can you have with gratuitous violence. I think I think it is supposed to be a comedy. That's how I kind of take it, is that it's sort of sending up the sort of the seriousness of it, because especially because the sort of the goons, the two gangs, do play it up a lot, and you've got like the guy who helps carry him out with the eyebrows, and he's such a comic character. I think it's for a samurai film, you see like, I don't know, maybe 10 people actually die. There's not actually all that many.
No, there's hardly any fight scenes.
This
is why what I put down in this, because I was like exactly what you said, that there was like no limit to the number of times you could deceive people with different plans, and that was the whole point, right? Like the plans were so ridiculous that you wouldn't have listened to him. You wouldn't have been like, oh really? Yeah, they said that, did they? You would have caught on that he's clearly playing you both against each other. But I think that's where it leads into, as you said, the comedy part of it. That they really hand that bit up so much, so it's so obvious that no one would fall for this that many times. That's the whole point. And it's not even he comes up with great plans. They're like a bit, like a bit stupid, or a bit silly.
No,
I thought it was good. Did any genre that you thought you could change it to, or you were happy with the Spaghetti Samurai?
I mean, it's a Spaghetti Samurai comedy. It's a very niche genre. I mean, maybe actually it's more Big Short. Is it actually a critique of capitalism? Because you can't have more than one boss. You have to just have one. If you have two, then it splits the labor. The coffin maker is still making good money. No matter what the circumstances, it's a zero-sum game, and even if everyone else is doing badly, there's always someone who can make money from it. They pay him a lot of money, and then that makes the employees, like the sword teacher, unhappy. and then he
that's
leaves,
true.
and then he doesn't fight for him, which then means that he's his own captor. You know, I think there's some classic supply and demand issues that the film addresses.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And he does basically take all the money and then leave. It is just like The Big Short of the AIDS.
Yeah,
It's just, yeah.
everyone, everyone's dead, just like The Big Short.
Yes. Yeah. He doesn't even pay back his guy, does he? He doesn't even pay him at the end. He just sort of leaves.
Well, he's
like,
given all of the money to the couple that inexplicably come in and then leave.
Yeah.
I love that scene as well when he says, they've gone in and killed all 6 people. And then you best go and tell your brother. And then he's like, okay, I'll go. And then he goes and kills 6 people. Again, like just such a great flex. Like, I don't even need to lie. Like, I can lie and say they're all dead because afterwards I'm going to kill them. And so they'll all be dead.
This is going to be super easy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And then he's like, oh, I have to make it look like there was actually a fight. And it's like, smashes everything up because he just kills them so easily. He's like, I'm gonna make it look like that was harder. So
and then like completely destroys it. And then he's like, let's take the ceiling down as well. I was like, I didn't know why you had to get involved with the ceiling. But yeah, it was amusing. He did well as well. Like he's very deadpan in all the scenes.
Yeah,
he's very like he comes across. He has got good presence, and he did feel like a samurai. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Did you have anything that you would swap out, or you're quite happy with the?
The only thing I could think of, you'd have to sort of change it completely, and it was like a spy thriller type thing, and it might have been, I don't know, like it obviously wouldn't have been able to be set in the same scenario. It'd have to be in a different place, and it might be like KGB versus CIA or something. Yeah. I don't know, but there wasn't really much I think I could think of really outside of this. It's like you said, it's covered off so many genres anyway.
Yeah, so such a classic setup.
Yeah. Was it any specific characters that you wanted to be, or I mean, there's some crazy characters in this.
I am a sucker for the loner doing good and kind of come in. I do I mean, it's not that I'd want to be them, but I like that character. It's you know, it's in this, it's in westerns, it's in noir sort of detective stories. I think the lone character that you're not really sure of their motivations, but then they turn out to be good. They sort of outthink everyone. I do love that, and it does feature on the list. There's just off the top of my head, I know there's like 3 or 4 others that kind of have that motif with it. So I do love that character.
We might have to maybe pull the list of your favorite characters from each of the movies and get them put into a top 100.
Nice.
We'll see that. Well, I mean, I don't know why we're giving ourselves more work to do, but just sounds like a good idea. That's all.
That'd be interesting. And then
want to
make a film.
I want to see who's above him.
It would be like like a Disney crossover. So
yeah, that would be good. There were some good lines in this as well. I know we talked about some of them at the start, but was there any more that you had after you'd watched it?
I mean, the young ones have all gone mad. Not only the young ones, everyone is after easy money. I feel like that's just as true. 60 years.
That's straight from The Big Short.
Yeah. I think it's quite funny when someone's like, "Kill me if you can," and he says, "Well, it'll hurt." I'm just like, yeah, good line. And then actually, I used to actually have this as my motto, but I changed it, and that is cut an arm off and they'll shut up. Like, I think that's fair. I think if you do, generally, if you do cut someone's arm off, then people do talk less. So
that would be the end of it. I could see you with a nice like coat of arms with that. That would be like a nice little motif.
The top with an arm.
There was some great lines in this. I was really surprised. I don't know, maybe if because when you watch it on subtitles, you see more of the dialogue, maybe. But there were some baggy lines in this. There was one where there was a guy that said when he's talking to the gang at the beginning in one of the early scenes, he's going through like, "What have you all done then?" And then one of them goes, "Well, not to brag, but I've committed every crime in the book." And I was like, well, committed nearly every crime in the book. It's like, well, hold on a minute. Like, you're saying you're not bragging, but then you are bragging. What's going on here?
That's a lot of crimes as well. Like every crime, like that's trespassing in a national park or something like that. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there's some crimes that are
Covered.
very
Done.
misdemeanor. So
No. This town is starting to boil again, just like this pot. I mean, like in one of the eating scenes where he's just like can't help it himself. But yeah, my favorite was definitely "Shut up, I'm busy drinking." That was,
it's been one of your mottos for many years.
exactly. That is a great motto to live by, isn't it? So yeah.
Yeah, well,
All right.
not many 3-star reviews
Yeah,
for
that
this
doesn't
one.
surprise me.
Yeah. One of them just thanks.
Yeah, nice. Like that.
3
I'm
stars.
happy with that.
I wonder, thanks.
Do you know what? I think that's my favorite 3-star review so far. That sums it up perfectly, and it is definitely worth 3 stars, that review.
Thanks to who? I feel like there needs to be a subject.
Just
Amazon,
everyone.
Kurosawa, Mifune.
Who knows?
I'm not sure. Just general.
It's just, just thanks, yeah.
And then
I like that.
someone else had, well, you can see where A Fistful of Dollars got the script idea from.
My God, honestly, I don't know if you have watched it recently, but as I said, I watched it today. It is exactly the same.
I mean, that's
exactly the same.
That's why he got sued and had to pay Kurosawa some money. Of the movie, not worth the fee. In fact, it's a B movie. Is it worth watching? In a word, no. It's almost boring. 3 stars. Why is that a 3 stars? Surely, if you're saying that it's not worth watching and it's almost boring, I reckon give it less than 3 stars.
You'd give it one. What is wrong with people? Why do people not like that? I feel like you only gave, like, people just generally just throw away 5 stars for no reason. And you only give something a 1 star if you are really irate about it. And then you write a tirade and no one wants to read that. Yeah. You can't just say, oh, yeah, 1 star, didn't like this film. No one does that. They go, did like this film, 3 stars.
It's just bizarre, especially because we know that we're the only people reading 3-star reviews. And then someone else, I highly recommend not buying this BFI print of the movie. The subtitles are awful. And basically says you should buy the Criterion version instead. Again, if you're doing that, you've got to put that in the 5-star reviews so that people read it and are like, oh, I should watch the movie, but I should buy the Criterion version rather than the BFI version because the subtitles is better. Putting it in as a 3-star, again, no one's going to read it. It's just people who have a podcast to aliens. Yeah, that's literally we're the only people who are reading 3-star reviews.
Well, I mean, when we become gods at some point, when the aliens come down, then maybe this person will be saved. We might go and find them and go, well, we read it, and so you were okay.
You're right. You can stay with us on the island. Let's see. Speaking of aliens and AI, what do you think? What do you think of film? Just choose a random film that you think AI might think it's like.
This. Well, I mean, if it didn't put in A Fistful of Dollars, something's gone wrong because the script's almost exactly the same.
It did put in A Fistful of Dollars. So I wonder actually what the training data for that is, to get a little bit geeky, because obviously it probably didn't identify that the scripts are the same. So maybe in all of the reviews,
I don't know.
Or does everyone who watched Yojimbo then watch Fistful of Dollars, or vice versa? Because it's kind of, presumably it's based on, like, if you watch this, then you're going to like that.
Maybe it's the summary of the film, because the summary of the film would be exactly the same, wouldn't it? Some, unnamed man enters a village. There are 2 bosses, and they must have gone, hold on a minute, 2 bosses? That never happens in any films. That never happened in one other film.
Search for 2 bosses. Oh, it's only in one other film. Yeah. So I feel like that's fine.
That was a given.
Fistful of Dollars. It's in there.
Kill Bill was the only one that I could sort of think of, and I was just like, in that homage to Quentin, as we mentioned in the first half.
Yeah. No, I mean it just went for the westerns, really. Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, okay. More Clint ones, or
just like other ones. So
what are we saying? Is that a draw, or are we giving that?
No, I think it managed to pick up the Fistful of Dollars. Yeah. So that's a point for the AI.
Oh,
right, because it managed to. If it didn't have Fistful of Dollars as the number 1, I think we would have some questions. But it's It's in there.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, that's fair enough then. So, what's the scores on the doors with the AI? How many points are we ahead?
3, 16, 16, 13.
Big. I mean, who knows where this is going to go?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nerve wracking. Someone put in some tense music at this point in the podcast.
Dun, dun, dun. Awesome.
Go.
Glockenspiel.
Oh yeah. I need to get out my wood block. He even uses. They don't even. He actually uses the wood block in the actual film as well.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Like-
was that someone's job just to go outside and announce every hour of the day? That is the worst job ever. Literally every hour, you have to go out and say that it's the hour. Like, when are you going to?
Yeah.
When are you
And
going to?
how would they know? How would they know? Because there'd be no timepieces.
Yeah.
How would they know that it was on the hour?
And if only they know, why does everyone not know? If there is like one clock, why doesn't everyone just have clocks? Yeah, no, I thought that was, again, that's a really bad job. That was,
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good job. No one wants that one.
You don't want to do that one.
No. Yeah. All right. So, all right, it's on the top 100. What are we doing? Are we? Is it staying where it is? I feel like this is going to stay close where it is because you've only watched this fairly recently, so I feel like you're going to be pretty confident of where you put it. So, what's the score on the door then?
I think you're overthinking how much time and attention I put into where films were in my top 100. But
no one else knows this.
I appreciate the votes of confidence. No, I will keep it at 70 because I think it's obviously we talk about the 10s as well. So I think this goes in well with actually I don't have one at 100 at the moment because obviously we kicked one out, but if we have the artist, Life is Beautiful, and Yojimbo, I think is a good sort of every 10 one. I like it. I think it's funny. I think it's good. I think it sort of plays with the genre a little bit. It's not just sort of an out and out just a standby movie. So yeah, I like it. I find it funny and stuff. So
well, that's interesting. So for me, so yours is at 70. Mine's, in terms of percentage wise, mine's just over 70%. So about the same. So I feel like that's worked out like that quite nicely.
Where have you put it in?
I would at 23 of 31. So above In Bruges and below Be Kind Rewind.
Okay.
So it's firmly in the OK section.
Just in the OK. So, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I know, it's I wonder if I'll get like a
any more films in the like column
in the good section. Yeah. I mean that is actually very true. Yeah.
I mean these are the worst films.
Well, yeah. I mean that's true. I mean we've done 30 now, and of 13 of those are in my good section that I'd watch again. So
not bad.
But the thing is with your list, though, Andy, it's like we say we've done through the worst 30, but there's every chance that's not the case. So, you know. There's still quite a lot of chance that all of these could fit into the OK/bad section.
This was a run of Andy movies, I think, which concludes next week with another.
There's yet another one.
I think it's slightly an Andy movie. Although again, I said to my brother and my wife about one that we're doing next week, and I said it's probably a bit of an Andy movie, and they said no, I really liked it. And I was like, well, it's not. Andy movie isn't a bad movie. It's just, it's
it is
a certain vibe. So I think, I think I've still got work to do to claw that back to being a good thing.
Yeah. We all know what an Andy movie means.
But yeah, the quote for next week. I think we forget things if there is nobody to tell them to. So yeah,
interesting.
Different vibe.
No idea what that means.
Yeah, well, it's pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, it's a different vibe.
No idea what film is going to be. I mean,
no, you won't have seen this film. So funnily enough, this week randomly, I've had my daughter insist that I do a shout out for one of her friend's mum's birthday, who doesn't listen to the podcast. I feel like this should be...
What? It's a firm dedication.
This,
like it.
this should be, I definitely
We-
think, covered by Patreon as like a subscriber thing.
Yeah.
Please subscribe,
Subscription, yeah.
and we will give you a shout
Yeah.
out. So
Yeah.
happy birthday to Ember's mum. You know, I said that
there
I'd
you
do
go.
it, and
Yeah.
I've done it. So there we go.
Yeah. The episode of Yojimbo is dedicated to you. Yeah. Please watch it with your child.
We've especially done it with this song.
Yeah.
Thanks to Tom Evans for the theme song as ever. Again, you can find us on Instagram at longplay.video or longplay.video to look at the scores on the jaws and all of the films in order. And we'll see you next week in the store.
Yeah.